AI is totally shaking up the world of design. I mean, it lets you generate these incredible concepts in minutes instead of weeks. It's like this dream of hyper-efficiency finally came true. But what if making things too easy, too automated, actually created a hidden problem? What if the very soul of the creative process was kind of getting lost in the shuffle? To really get this, you just have to listen to the designers themselves.
Wow. I mean, this quote from a professional designer using a really powerful AI system, it just says it all, right? The technology was brilliant, the results were amazing, but that feeling of creation, of authorship, it was just gone. The designer basically became a spectator in their own process, and that feeling of detachment, that's the core problem we're going to unpack.
So this leads us to what you could call the curator's dilemma. It all started with this incredibly powerful AI pipeline called Retina. It was designed to take a designer's inspiration and just automatically churn out these photorealistic products. But all that efficiency had an unintended and very human side effect.
And look at this. It really puts some numbers to that feeling. The whole creative partnership was just completely lopsided. The AI was doing like 90% of the heavy lifting. The human designer, they were left with the last 10%, which was basically just giving a thumbs up or a thumbs down. The balance was totally off.
And this kind of imbalance had some real consequences. The designer's role shifted from being this hands-on creator to more of a passive curator. And even worse, there was a real risk of what's called skill atrophy. That feeling when your creative muscles don't get a workout, they just get weaker. With no points to jump in, to steer the ship, or add that sudden spark of inspiration, the value of the creative journey was getting lost.
Okay, so to fix this, the researchers had to kind of hit the reset button. They had to go back to basics and ask a really fundamental question. How does great design actually happen? It turns out human creativity isn't some straight, automated line from A to B. It has this natural and honestly beautiful rhythm to it.
In this diagram, it just perfectly captures that rhythm. It's called the diamond architecture. See, great design work happens in these cycles. First, you diverge. You go broad, you explore tons of different ideas, get messy. Then, you converge. You start to refine, you evaluate, you pick the best path forward. It's this constant pulse, this expanding and contracting that really defines the whole creative process. And in the real world, this rhythm plays out across several key stages. Experts will start by pulling out basic shapes. Then they'll explore countless sketches. They'll critically evaluate them to find the strongest ideas, combine the best parts, and only then do they move on to the final rendering. It's a very deliberate, hands-on process. So with this deep understanding of the creative rhythm, a brand new system was born. Meet FENSO, an AI framework that was built from the ground up not to replace the designer, but to be their perfect collaborative partner, one that actually respects and works within their natural process.
So how does FENSO pull this off? Well, instead of being one giant, mysterious black box, FENSO is more like a creative assembly line with 8 specialized AI agents. And here's the crucial part. After every single agent does its job, there's a human checkpoint. The designer is in the driver's seat at every single step, guiding the whole process. But here is the absolute game changer. Agent number 6, the Depiction Agent. This is the moment where the designer can say, okay, great ideas, AI, but check this out. They can upload their own hand-drawn sketch, injecting a completely original human idea right into the workflow. This one feature transforms the user from a simple curator into a true co-creator.
So, the big question is, does this new, more collaborative approach actually work? Does it really solve that curator's dilemma? Well, a pilot study was run with professional designers to find out, and honestly, the results are pretty spectacular. First up, that feeling of ownership. When designers were asked how much they felt the final design was theirs, the old automated system scored a pretty sad 3.17 out of 7. But with FENSO, look at that jump. It skyrocketed to 5.42. That's a massive, statistically significant leap. They felt like they owned their work again. And it wasn't just about the outcome. They loved the journey more too. Satisfaction with the creative process itself jumped from 3.92 all the way to 5.67. This just proves that being an active participant, a co-creator, isn't just more rewarding, it's also a heck of a lot more enjoyable. Okay, but this is the big question, isn't it? We've made the designer happier, they feel more ownership, which is all great, but did all this human meddling actually make the final designs worse? Is there a trade-off between having a good process and getting a good product? And the answer was a huge no. The perceived quality of the final designs was basically identical between the two systems. So think about what that means.
FENSO delivered a vastly superior human experience, more ownership, more satisfaction, with absolutely zero compromise on the quality of the final output. That's pretty much the best of both worlds.
And if the numbers don't convince you, just look at this. On the left, you've got the wireless chargers from the fully automated system. They're fine, but let's be honest, they're a little generic. Now look to the right, the designs from FENSO. They're diverse, they're creative, they're full of personality. You can actually see the individual designer's touch in each one. That's the difference between automation and true co-creation.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? FENSO really points toward a major shift in how we should be thinking about building creative AI tools for the future.
At the end of the day, the ultimate goal shouldn't be to just automate human tasks away. It should be to build systems that augment our natural abilities, that work with our creative rhythms. The focus has to be on preserving the value and the satisfaction of the journey, not just optimizing for the fastest possible destination. This new model, this idea of a true symbiotic partnership, it just opens up so many incredible possibilities. It leaves us with a final and pretty inspiring question to think about. If you had an AI that really worked with you, not just for you, what could you create?